if you can't control the amount you want to drink, once you start drinking, you're an alcoholic. And that's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. And if you know that and continue to drink, like, that's on you. You know what I mean? But now, I couldn't, like, once, as soon as I heard that, I read that in my book, and I wanted to take the damn book and throw it across the room. Because that was my problem. Like, I had been asking myself that for decades. Like, why can't I just drink like everybody else? You know what I mean?
Welcome to the Bunkroom Chats Podcast. As always, I'm Elena, also known as Betty, and this is
Tim.
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 And today we have a special guest. So if you want to introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are, what you do, and how you know either one of us, which in this case, it's Conrad.
All right. My name's Jeff. Jeff Taccarino. I know Tim. We're both firefighters in Frederick County, Maryland. I've only been working there, I guess, about 2.5 years now. A couple years ago, I was in the middle of it was either a massive career change or midlife crisis, or maybe a little bit of both. I don't know, but I ended up pursuing my dream job, long story short, after a long career in the restaurant industry, and ended up getting this firefighter job in Maryland. I think I've only met Tim once or twice, I think, but then I knew he was a recovered alcoholic like myself, and I saw he was doing this podcast, and I thought it was just a fantastic thing. So I reached out to him. I said, I'm one of you, and if there's ever anything I can do to help, or you want to have me on and talk about life, work, recovery, whatever, it would be a honor. Tim reached out to me, and here I am. So
yeah, it was actually super cool. I had no idea. I mean, I knew who you were. We had worked a couple of times together.
Yeah.
Out on overtime or detail or what have you. But I had no idea. I think I worked with you when you were at Station 2. Were you on McNear's shift?
Yep.
So I had no idea that you were in recovery, or it's just funny how many people do struggle with this, and whether or not it's private or open, but you can always find friends, wherever you are in the world.
Yeah.
That was really cool that you reached out. I, of course, wanted to get somebody on in the early stages of this show who also had some time on as in recovery, sobriety.
Yeah.
And we could, shoot the shit on that.
Absolutely.
My wheelhouse.
So if you could kind of tell us a little bit about what your story is, and how you've come to want to share your story.
Well, geez, I mean, how far back do you want me to go? Where should I start?
As far back as you want to go.
Yeah, we have literally an hour or whatever.
I mean, I'll start with saying, like, I never shy away from my story. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people, like, I'm just going to tell you just to tell you, you know what I mean? But, like, if it comes up in conversation, I will, certainly openly share that about myself. I don't make any bones about my past. I might spare the gory details till I know you a little better. But I also know, like, I was never too ashamed of being a drunk to not be a drunk. So, like, why would I hide or be ashamed or hesitant to share that, I'm in recovery or a sober man now, whatever you want to call it. So, like, my story I picked up my first drink, if you will. I'm just going to keep everything in a cup today for for a few reasons. It's just easier for the podcast. But picked up my first drink. I was 14, and like I just immediately fell in love with it. You know what I mean? And as a common theme I hear from people like us. Never. Like I remember having the thought, like I don't ever want to not feel like this, and I sought to make that true. So pretty much just damn near every day for almost 22 years, in one form or another, never drew a sober breath. There were periods of when I was, I guess, quote, doing better, and there were definitely periods when I was definitely doing worse. But the last couple years were pretty brutal. I was sharing this with a couple guys at work the other day because it just came up and they asked, and again, I don't hide from it. The last couple years were just painful and brutal. Drinking around the clock. Like I had a bottle of Evan Williams, and I am not like a cheaper, whiskey drinker at all. You know what I mean? But, you just kind of end up with places you normally wouldn't go to, doing things you normally wouldn't do with people you normally wouldn't do them with. That's where alcohol took me. I would keep a bottle anyway. I kept a bottle of Evan Williams on top of my refrigerator, and every day before I head out to work, some people brush their teeth in the morning. I took a couple shots of Evan Williams just to level off and head to work, and it was maintenance drinking at work and then blackout drinking at night. My saving grace came in the form of angels in blue uniforms with red and blue lights. I got a DUI, and I don't know if it was I was just extremely intoxicated or what, but when the cop put handcuffs on me, I actually thanked him because I don't know. I guess I knew that was gonna be.
That was it.
That was it, man. That was it.
Would you call that your rock bottom?
I mean, that. As I sit here today, yeah, like I was on the tail end of a hellacious, like weeks long bender. I had just come off of about a 24-hour blackout when I pissed a lot of people off. So I was in a really, really low point anyway. But like any good alcoholic, when you're feeling really shitty, like what do? You wake up and drink more. You know what I mean? So that's. Right. 24 hours before, I had, like I said, pissed off a lot of people, and I was feeling really low. So I went out and, woke up the next morning and just started drinking again. Drank all day, and somewhere around midnight, my car, it blew a head gasket. Okay. So I'm on the side of the road in a pretty rural area, about half hour from where I live. Nowhere. I'm usually never in this area. So my car blows a head gasket. It's midnight. My phone's dead. I don't have a coat. I'm middle of nowhere. Can't call anybody. Can't do anything. So I get out of the car, and I flag down the first car I see, and it's a cop. Yeah. So he gets out of his car, and we're looking under the hood, and the car. There's oil all over the place. The car stinks, and I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Have you been drinking?" And I go, "Yeah, I have."
I'm not wearing a coat.
Yeah. I mean, so it was just one of those things, man. Like, I'm not. You meet a lot of people that are in AA. I mean, and everywhere, but that are extremely religious and God people, I call them, and I am not one of them, but AA has made a believer of me, and I believe that was my higher power. Like, he reached down and blew my head gasket for me because he knew, it was going to be those sequences of events that got me to, first and foremost, stop drinking, Second, finally say yes to AA, and then
Had you been considering rehab before that happened, or was that kind of not on your radar at all?
never was even on my radar. I come from a long line of alcoholics in both sides of my family, some sober, some not. My dad is 30 plus years sober. My brother's got a couple years on me, sobriety time. So, I mean, it was one of those things, like, I always knew, like, it was always in the back of my head. But I was also always like, I'm not like them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm going to prove it to you, and I'm going to prove it to myself that I'm not like them. Needless to say, alcohol won that fight.
Yeah.
I needed every drink I took to get me to where I needed to be, to get me to that low point where I was finally willing to, like, okay, I'm done. I'll do whatever you say. And then took me, I didn't even go to AA right away. I went to a couple meetings, and, like, I didn't, like, by the grace of none other than God himself, like, I didn't, when I woke up the next morning, I know I did not want to drink. I had gone to bed for a couple years telling myself, like, I'm not going to drink tomorrow. You know what I mean? And I woke up the next morning and just started drinking always. And I remember going to bed that night after I got the day after I got my DUI, after I had made the decision, like, I'm just cannot do this anymore. I was terrified.
Yeah.
Because I'd been telling myself that for years, like, I'm not going to drink tomorrow. And I woke up and just, not eating, unconsciously, against my will, whatever you want to call it, in that perpetual cycle. And I woke up that next morning, the urge to drink, the obsession to drink was just totally removed. And I can't explain that, and I don't try, you know what I mean?
Higher power, man.
Right. Because I talk to people in the rooms. They struggle with the obsession to drink for weeks or months or even years, and some people it's gone and it comes back. You know what I mean? And I sit here. December 13th will be 10 years removed from a drink, and aside from some fleeting temptation here and there that just comes and goes, like, I've never really wanted to pick up a drink again, and I'm extremely fucking grateful for that because. If I, like, my record shows, like, when the urge is on me, when the obsession's on me, like, I drink. That's just what it is.
And I'll point out while we're chatting about it, the vicious cycle that he's referring to, and I think I could speak on behalf of it. If I get it wrong, and you're speaking on something else, you just let me know. But I was in this vicious cycle as well, and it's just you want to quit. You feel like dog shit. I don't want to drink today, but somehow, almost absent-mindedly, I'm in the kitchen getting a drink, and the drink that is supposed to be making me feel better, that I'm self-medicating with, is actually depressing me more. It is a depressant, and so the cycle just keeps on going. You drink because you're unhappy, and you're unhappy because you drink, and at the end of the day, it's a temporary solution for a long-term problem.
I think the biggest thing too is that you feel like you're letting people down, so that makes you feel bad. But instead of it being like, okay, I'm letting these people down, so I'm gonna stop. It's almost like, well, how do I make myself feel better about making people feel bad? So it's this constant, yeah.
It's the only medicine I ever knew truly worked to make me feel better was booze, and for a long time it worked. It worked better than anything man has ever created otherwise. But somewhere along the line, for me and and other people's stories, probably for you guys too, alcohol it turns on you, and it stops working. And I'm the last one to know that it's no longer working, and it's the only thing I know. It's like an abusive relationship, you know what I mean?
It is.
But you don't even know you're being abused. Like, you think, it's still great, which I guess is why people stay in abusive relationships. But anyway, another story.
Did anyone in your life kind of bring this to your attention, try to tell you, try to help you?
Yeah, my father's he's 30 plus years sober. Like he knew what he was looking at. But he also knew, like, you can't talk to alcohol. You can't talk sense to alcohol. You can't talk sense to someone who's under the lash of it, you know what I mean? And something else I've heard in the rooms, that, like, you can't take that pain away from somebody who is going through it. You know what I mean? Like, if you if you try and take that pain away, like, you're depriving them of what they need to get to that low point, to where they finally say, I've had enough. You know what I mean? Like, if things had been made easier for me somewhere along the line, if if I wasn't losing friends, if I wasn't alienating relationships, if I wasn't going broke, if I wasn't missing work, if I wasn't disappointing my parents, like, all that pain adds up, and it gets to a point where, like, my pain is now greater than my desire to drink, and now my desire to get sober was always here, like, I always wanted to get sober, but my desire to drink was here. And then took a long time and a lot of pain. That desire to finally stop drinking finally got above my desire to drink, and it's only until then. And the brutal part about alcohol is some people don't ever get to that point.
Right.
Some people, live a long life just pathetically drunk, and some people, unfortunately, die early before they ever even get that chance.
Yeah, it's
Just
true.
grateful that I got it when I did, relatively young, before, real life-changing consequences started happening. Like, Tim, I know from being in the fire service, running on the ambulance, like, we pick up a lot of people my age and not that close to my age who, or not that far from my age, who are really suffering the consequences of a life of excess. And I look at some of these people and my heart breaks for them, but I also look at them and go, like, that could 100% be me. And if I didn't stop drinking when I did, it probably would. I'd be dead.
You
or
ever
I'd
find
be,
yourself reaching out to them, talking to them on the way to the hospital?
I have.
Yeah,
I've
do too.
I've put my phone numbers in more than a few pockets. You know what I mean? I have yet to get a phone call. I don't expect one. I wouldn't have called me. You know what I mean? I would have gotten out of the hospital and gone back to drinking.
Right.
You know?
I mean, it's just one of those things that
Yeah.
you can't tell somebody they're an alcoholic. You
Right.
just, or an addict, for that matter. It doesn't take
Right.
alcohol out of the equation. If we're
Yep.
just talking about addiction in general, and you know that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
You can't tell somebody. They have to be ready. That's what step one is all about, is admitting that you're powerless to it, and accepting that and coming to terms with it. And it's a hell of a first step.
It's a hell of a journey getting to that first step where you
is.
finally realize, like, and then realizing what it actually means to be powerless over alcohol. You know what I mean? Like, I did not want to admit it, but I also didn't know what it means. And then I got to AA and they start explaining what it means to be powerless over alcohol, and I find out, like when they explained what alcohol does in my body, what it does to my brain when I start drinking, like, it totally made sense. Going back to the very first drink I took when I said, I don't ever want to not feel this way, and sought to just make sure that everywhere I went, everything I did had some form of alcohol revolved around it.
Right.
And that, and then the way they explain it in the book about the allergy, like, as soon as I take some, it kicks off that thing inside of me where I need more, and I'm not going to stop going after it until you physically remove it from me.
Right. And it has been described as everything from an allergy to just this demon that's out there doing push-ups, waiting for you.
Yep.
And your body doesn't react normally
Right.
or what
Like,
is considered to be normally.
right. Like I watch my wife drink. Like we go out. It was our anniversary a couple days ago, and we go out for dinner, and she orders this fancy looking margarita with all this stuff on it, and and drinks 3/4 of it and pushes it aside, and she's like, "Oh, I've had enough." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make any sense to me. But my wife, she's a completely normal drinker. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she starts to drink and she gets to that point where her head tells her like, okay, that's enough, we're about to start losing control here. And her normal thinking is, okay, that's enough, like I'm not going to let that happen to me. Where people like us, it's like we feel like if I have a
Getting
little
started.
more, I'm finally going to gain control. And I drank seemingly to gain control, but every drink I took pushed me farther from it. But the illusion, the lie of booze is that a little further, and you're finally going to get to that place. I kept drinking to get to that place,
Yeah.
and I don't think I ever once got there, man.
Now let me ask you this, because I identify a lot with what you're talking about when you're saying that you are drinking to, almost like achieve normalcy. That's a lot of what I was going through too. They later came to find out it was trying to balance out some ADHD and stuff like that. But uh, did you were you a blackout drinker, or did you have the tolerance? Like I had a tolerance that wouldn't quit. I was very high functioning, never blacked out, was still able to, drive around and, things I shouldn't have been doing, but still very high functioning in even in a 20 beer deep day.
No, I was definitely a blackout drinker,
Okay.
and I did my share of quote unquote maintenance drinking. You know what I mean? Like if I was at work or if I had to be somewhere where I had to, keep a certain level of decency about me. You know what I mean? But as soon as I was free of that, like I was, just off to the races. The very first time I picked up a drink, with the intent of getting drunk, like I blacked out right there. And I carried that with me, throughout my entire drinking career. You know what I mean? And it's not something I say like with any form of bravado, or you know what I mean. It's just the way it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot on the podcast about how stress and mental health affect addiction and recovery. And you said you're relatively new to the fire service.
Yep.
How has that, if at all, impacted your sobriety, your recovery? Obviously, that's a completely different kind of stress
Sure.
than most people are used to. So have you found that that's helped, hurt, a little bit of both? What's your experience with that?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it helps. Like, I'm not nearly as active in AA as I should be. Not nearly as active as I want to be. Just because, like, my life has changed a lot. Like sobriety has been very good to me. My higher power has been very good to me. He's given me everything I've ever really wanted, but could never get to because booze kept getting in the way. When I first got sober, I was like 2, 3, 4 meetings a day, and I did that for like a year and a half. Settled into like a meeting a day routine. Then we bought a house, and I had a baby, and started taking on more expansive roles in my family business. So life gets busy, life gets good. And then once I got into this career, like I'm just not able to be as AA as much as I want to be.
Sure.
So, but like seeing some of the people that I'm exposed to on the street, especially riding the ambulance, like it's like I get exactly what I need when I need it, and I see like, that guy laying in the gutter with booze around him and he hasn't showered in weeks, you know what I mean? And I get no
Definitely
joy.
keeps it in the forefront.
I 100%. I get no joy out of seeing people like that. My heart absolutely
No.
breaks for them, but I also know like that was me. That
Yeah.
could have been me. That should have been me. If I had gone on any further, that definitely would be me if I wasn't dead.
Right.
So it's I would love to be able to help these people, but just by being there for them and taking them wherever they need to go, or seeing them in their condition they're in, like that gives me at least what I need for that day. You know what I mean? It brings me back right to where I used to be, and I just say, I hope they get what they need, but thank God I'm not drinking today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so we were talking a little bit last night, getting a rundown for the show, and he happened to say one little phrase that was very close to me, especially while I was at the rehab facility, because it was almost the motto of the rehab facility. Because when you go down to the rehab, and this was, granted, a firefighter rehab. I went to the Center of Excellence, so it's all firefighters and everything, but we were talking, and he brought up trust the process
Yep.
and how important that is, especially in the early goings. It's like I said, it's almost the motto down there at the COE. Trust the process. Where did you first hear it? How did it come about? And you kind of live by it still today, yeah?
Yeah. On my sober day one, I called my dad and I said, I'm quitting drinking. I'm going to AA. We talked a little bit, and it was he had talked to me very briefly once or twice before that, and just like, what do you have to lose by giving it a try? So I went there, and it's what do I have to lose? What do I have to lose by giving this a try? And then I went to AA and didn't really want to do what they were telling me I should do. I just want to come sit in a couple meetings, you know what I mean? I'll come, I'll listen, I might, talk to you, you know what I mean? But like, I'm not going to do that stuff up on the wall. I'm not going to do, I'm not confessing anything, and I'm not getting, I don't want your, I don't want anything to do with God and everything with the 12 steps. Like, I'm not going to do that. And then I stuck around for a while. Thank God I stuck around, and I started, everybody who had what I wanted was doing all the stuff that I refused to do. You know what I mean? And like, I was sober, but I wasn't feeling much better on the inside. Didn't want to drink, but there was still that like emotional disturbance, restlessness, irritability, discontent, just kind of resentful, angry at the world. And I had no idea that I was even like that. And I had no idea why I was like that. And then just starting to pay attention to what people are doing, what people are saying, and everybody that's feeling or talking about feeling the way I wanted to feel had done all that stuff, you know what I mean? And then the whole trust the process thing was kind of put in my lap, like, again, like, trust the process. What do you have to lose by going to AA? Like, trust the process. What do you have to lose by, doing this stuff up here on the wall? Like, getting a sponsor, getting into the literature, working the 12 steps. What do you possibly have to lose by doing that? What is the worst thing that could happen? What are you so afraid of? And it's that, like, losing of self. You know what I mean? Pushing Jeff out of the way and just letting all this other stuff into my life to actually work with me, for me, to get me to the point where, I can kind of start, at least contributing to rowing my own boat again. You know what I mean? So it was trusting the process. So I learned the whole thing about trusting the process there, and that's something that I carry with me now. Like, what do you have to, trust the process. What do you have to lose by trying this? Whereas before, like, I was afraid to do anything. I would talk myself out of a lot of really, really good ideas. And I just, getting sober has allowed, I guess my true self to be revealed. And, I'm not afraid to say yes. I'm not afraid to say, let's try this. I'm not afraid to fail. Like I was 42 years old and I took this job. Like I am not your stereotypical firefighter recruit candidate. And there was a lot of self-doubt. Am I able to do this? Am I ready to do this? Am I going to be able to pull this off? And it was just like, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? If you fail, you fail. You went, you tried. And if you don't do it, there's going to be something else down the road. If you don't get it, it was never for you in the first place, but the lesson is there. So you take that, you learn from it, and you move on. Win, lose, draw, or whatever, like you're better for just putting yourself in that position to try, take what you can from it, and trust the results. Yeah.
So obviously, I think as we all know, there's kind of a culture of drinking in the fire service. It's kind of an underlying,
Sure.
theme there. So how has that been for you? Has that been difficult? Has that been something that you easily navigate? How have you found that?
Difficult. No, honestly, not really at all. If the guys are talking about it, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I get uncomfortable and I have to walk away. And if that, then, there have been times in my life where, I've either been around it or people are talking about it and I do get uncomfortable and it's like, okay, I'm just going to step away from this. I don't, it's just, but more often than not, like, it's not really a thing. Like I can talk about my experience. I can laugh about it. And then I forget, we were somewhere and the guys were talking about drinking and then they asked me like, oh, do you, drink this? And I'm like, I'm not going to just drop it all in your lap, but I just say, nah, I gave it up years ago.
Oh,
Which
I drop it right like a pipe bomb.
Well, I mean, but also like just saying that, like I'm now the oddball, and everyone's like, wait, what do you like? You don't drink at all? Like what's going on with that?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, I'm a recovered alcoholic. I haven't drank in almost 10 years, and it usually inspires some pretty good conversation. People are inquisitive. Certainly not judgmental.
I don't drop it like a pipe. I shouldn't have said it like that. I don't make them feel like shit about it. I just lay it out there for them. Like, yeah, I can't.
You're just very upfront about it.
Yeah. Blunt.
Yeah.
Blunt. Yeah.
No, and I've had people, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we shouldn't talk about this. And I'm like, no, like, you don't have to, change what you're doing because I'm in the room. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good with it. And if I'm not, like, I'll step away. Like, if you can, drink normally, if you can have a couple drinks and whatever, like, my hat's off to you. Like, I kind of, I wish I had that ability to just have 2 beers and shut it off and go about my life normally. But that's not my story. That's never been my story. It's certainly not my experience with alcohol. So, like, yeah.
But I think that what you just touched on kind of brings up an important point that I don't think we've talked about on the show yet, which is enforcing your personal boundaries. Which, I mean, you just said, if I don't feel comfortable in a situation, I'll get myself out of that situation.
Yeah.
But if I do feel comfortable, I'll, maybe I'll give a little bit more information. Maybe I'll talk to people about it. Sure. So I think that's pretty important, and something we haven't talked much about is enforcing your own boundaries.
Is laying down boundaries, especially with a shift, because like we've talked about, that is kind of a second family. And yeah, I get the same thing. We shouldn't be talking about that around you. It's like, no, guys, you're good. And that's a boundary in and of itself. Mm-hmm. You're good. I can take it. It's been 5 years now. I think I can handle a little conversation about if you guys want to go throw axes or whatever at Stumpy's.
Did they close? I think they closed.
I don't know. But like, that's the kind of stuff like, oh, can we even invite you out? And I'm like,
yeah. No, and I totally understand that part of it, sure. But which is where, like, I like if there is one thing I reveal, it's like, you guys talking about it isn't going to make me run home and drink.
Yeah.
It's not going to ruin my day. It's not going to make me uncomfortable. If anything, like it's good for me. Like I might have not addressed my alcoholism that day, which is something that I think is really important to do. You know what I mean? Like the most important thing I can remind myself of every day is like, I'm an alcoholic, you know what I mean? Or I'm a sober alcoholic, and like, I'm not going to drink today. You know what I mean? And like, that's the one thing that not being as present in AA, like I'm missing. So like, it's actually good, like to have those conversations with people at work, to see those people on the street, like is really, really good for me. 'Cause it's like, I remember like, oh yeah, like, dude, like, this is, for people like us, like it's life and death. And like, I need to have that at the forefront of my mind, as often as possible. 'Cause, those, I've seen it in the rooms, like guys with, years or decades of sobriety, and you're like, this guy's got it. And then one day, like they don't got it, you know what I mean? And like, how the hell does that happen? Like, and I don't ever want that to be me. So, the more often I can, stand in front of my alcoholism and say, not today. And also just to touch on like, talking about it with people at work, like you never know who you're going to be able to reach out and help. You know what I mean? Like might not be today, might not be tomorrow, might not be in 10 years, but like you never know who might need, or
Yeah.
you never know
Who's listening?
who's listening.
Or
Right,
who's
exactly.
who's
Like
around? Yeah, like
there was this guy I grew up with. We hung in the same group, you know what I mean? Never terribly close, but I remember a couple years before I got sober, I saw he got sober. You know what I mean? And like it was like, wow, like if he can do it, like cuz I'm like him. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like my dad. You know what I mean? Like that's what, I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to be like my brother, but I know I'm like him. And if he can do it, maybe I can do it. You know what I mean? So, if I can be a presence in someone's life, it might be them, it might be a friend, it might be a relative down the road, and they go, years later, hey, hey, Tack, I know you said, you don't drink anymore. Like, what did you do? Because I got this person, whoever it is, in my life, and I think they have a problem, and I think they need help. Like, what did you do? Maybe, could you talk to them or make a recommendation on what they should do, or et cetera, et cetera. Like, you never know who's going to need the hand of AA down the road.
Yeah.
that's right. It's just I see it all the time as well.
All the time.
And I get approached a lot as well about not just like doing this podcast, but like Carly Heflin, Carly.
Yep.
She's very open as well.
Yep.
Her and I started the AA meeting at the Union Hall for first responders. Now, you can't. Anybody is welcome, but we wanted a place you can name it. Like, there's gay and lesbian AA meetings, but
Sure.
I'm more than welcome to go.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we started the first responders group, just for the sheer fact that when I came back from rehab and I sent out that email blast, so many people came and reached out and said, thank you for doing that. I've been thinking these things. A lot of them, it's funny too, there was a bunch that had just recently retired too. And that's a crazy point in your
Yeah.
mental health, to go from 30 years of every third day going to work to all of a sudden nothing.
Yeah.
So, and it's not always addiction, alcohol. It's just the voice of somebody that was struggling with something
Yep.
to say, hey,
And it's that vulnerability too. It's that you're able to be vulnerable and say, this is what's going on with me.
Yeah.
Maybe I can help you.
And it's the power of a group, man. Like that's why I think a home group that I really got down with was really, really important and paramount to my ability to stay sober up to this point. You know what I mean? And I think like for guys that have spent a lifetime in whether, a first responder of whatever variety, to go from that every third day, or for cops whatever their schedule is, but they have their group, they have their camaraderie, they have their people that they see regularly. And then for the retirees, like, you remove that from them, now they have that isolation, now they have that time, and it's very easy for me to see how someone who at least had the foundation for a budding alcoholic, for retirement to really supercharge that very, very quickly out of control.
Yeah.
So having a group to go to, like, we have a group here we call Bottles and Badges. It's the Bottles and Badges group for cops, firemen, etc. So it's awesome. It's awesome to see.
And it has been a key part of my sobriety as well. Just being able to step into that step 12 role, I call it, and do that work. But I did learn recently very quickly that you can't fall so deep into the step 12 work that you're not taking care of number one. Because literally just earlier this year I was struggling. I didn't want to take a drink or anything, but my depression had creeped back in, and I had no idea about it, or I had no idea it was, and it was pointed out to me that I wasn't myself, and so I had to make some changes, and I had to step back from the step 12 work a little bit and take care of me, because like you were talking about, boundaries. Like you were talking about, it's important to visit that at least once a day with yourself, right? And that's so true. And I haven't actually heard anybody say it like that. So thank you for that. That's something I'll write down, and moving forward, hopefully push that out too. You always want to visit that at least once a day. 100%. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think also that they say that mental illness and addiction and depression, anything like that, thrives in the dark. As long as you keep it to yourself, that's when it grows and gets bigger and bigger and more powerful, because it's this thing that you're holding so close to yourself. People can't tell you have a problem. People can't try to help you if they don't know what's going on, or if you're just completely closed off and kind of holding on to it. So I think that by talking about it, it kind of sheds this light on it that makes it even harder to go back to it. It's like, okay, at this point, everybody, absolutely, yeah.
Take the power away from it. Yeah. This quote that I like on this, if you a problem shared is divided, but also on the flip side of that, a joy shared is multiplied.
Yeah. Before we start wrapping anything up, I wanted to take a look at what the outlook is now. Like, obviously, you said that you're not making as many meetings as you might want to or not, but how's the outlook since sobriety? You're 10 years on now, damn near. But I say it's been the best 5 years of my life. How do you feel?
Without a doubt. My official sobriety date is October 1st. I was, my last drink was December 13th, and I was doing, the marijuana maintenance program for a little while. Needless to say, that doesn't work. For anybody, all you folks at home thinking about trying it, that do not recommend. It doesn't work. But the outlook since putting the drink down was, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Like we say it in the program, like life beyond my wildest dreams. Yeah. Like everything I ever wanted to attain, and I'm not talking like physical, money, clothes, car, house, all that shit. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about any of that. It's the stuff in here and the stuff up here. Like, I could never get anything to ever line up, and I could never figure out why. You know 100%. What I mean? And everybody always looked better, like he's got it all together. Why can't I put it together? And it was like I kept trying to throw all this stuff into my life or onto my problems. And it was just as simple as, and I was years sober when I heard this, like, remove one thing. Remove one thing, and you have everything. You have the possibility of everything. And I had it totally backwards. You know what I mean? I'm trying to throw everything on the one thing, instead of removing the one thing that is the causing all these problems. And I'm finally able to achieve, the like how I feel about myself, how I feel about other people, what I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to do. You know what I mean? It's just like I'm actually able to. Yes, I'm able to now like buy a house and have more than one car that I'm not embarrassed to drive. You know what I mean? I have respect in my home. I have respect in my community. I think people at work like me. You know what I mean? But like I didn't have any of this stuff before. You know what I mean? Like I was embarrassed. Like I was embarrassed to wake up every day because I didn't know what the hell I did the day before. Like I don't have to live. I don't have to live in constant fear of what yesterday's Jeff did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have to live in constant fear of what am I going to do today, because I know what today's going to bring, and I don't know where I'm going to be by the end of the day. I don't know where I'm going to be, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to say, who I'm going to hurt, and like I don't have to live like that anymore. You know what I mean? Like I am so
Small little things like not having to worry about driving down the. I would always have a beer when I was driving.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're not. If you ain't drinking and driving, you ain't doing it right.
So like just driving down the road and it hitting you in the head like, wow, I don't have to worry about this cop by me.
Yeah.
For the first time in like years.
Yeah.
And then just the biggest thing for me was I never realized. Obviously, we talked that it is a constant depression, but I walked around in such a fog all the time. The clarity now that I possess and can think things through more clearly and day to day and everything. It's just that alone. And then not materialistic or anything, but having my daughter there is no way in hell, and I wanted a kid for the longest time. There's no way in hell I could have taken care of a child, until I manned up and owned my illness.
Yep. Yeah, like my oldest, who's now 16, he was, where are we? He was five or six when I stopped drinking. You know what I mean? And the couple years before, like, I was recently separated from his mother, my ex-wife, and things were not good. I saw him once a week he had one overnight a week, and it was just not good. You know what I mean? I wasn't present. I wasn't available. I wasn't what he needed at the time. You know what I mean? And since getting sober, first of all, I have an excellent relationship with my ex-wife now. Like, we get along great. We're great friends. We have a perfect 50-50 split with him. We're flexible. We don't argue. Like, if she needs an extra day, she gets it. If I want an extra day, I get it. You know what I mean? And like, that's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't have to resent her. I don't have to live in fear of her, you know what I mean? Or what she's going to do, or is she going to take him from me? You know what I mean? Whereas, when I was drinking, like, there was plenty of anger and resentment there, but like I did that, you know what I mean? I did that. I made her do that. She was just protecting her son, you know what I mean? And thank goodness she was there to do that. But I now also have a second son with my current wife, who is right around the same age that my oldest, Jeffrey, the same age he was when I got sober. And I just see how different I am with him than I was my oldest. And, you know, I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me sad sometimes that what I missed out on with my oldest, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you know, there's nothing. All I can do today is just be there, be present, be accountable, be the dad he needs. You know what I mean? And for 10 years, I've been able to do that. You know what I mean? Certainly not perfectly. You know what I mean? Learning or getting sober, learning how to live without a drink is certainly a learning experience, just like anything else. Just like being a parent. You know what I mean? I'm a better parent this time around because I know what to do, what not to do.
And like you
So
said, you hit the nail on the head when you said that you're present.
Mhm.
yeah,
Being
that's
being in the
that's
moment, being present.
99.9% of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's already gonna make
Yeah.
you better, you know.
Yeah.
You're right. I feel for you. I didn't have a child pre sobriety, so I don't. But I understand what you're saying. That you kind of feel like you shortchanged him maybe, but you're there now, and
Yeah.
that's the win.
Have you, I know you mentioned, we talked about the genetic component to addiction before, and you mentioned that your dad and your brother also are alcoholics. So is that a conversation that you are going to have with your kids to kind of say, hey, this runs in the family. Because that's
Uh,
probably something I'm going to talk to my son about when he's
Sure. I
2,
mean,
but
no,
when he's older.
I already have with my oldest. I've been speaking to him about this for years now. Not, you know, I spare him now. The older he gets, the more I reveal to him about what it was like for me.
Yeah.
Not because it's a cool story, but like, listen to how awful this was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what it did to me. You know what I mean? And I'm not telling you that you have this problem, but alcoholism runs on both sides of my family.
Yep.
It runs on both sides of his family too.
There's a
That's
good
all.
chance.
You know,
Yeah.
I'll leave it there, and I just let him know, like, you know, just don't forget that it's clearly genetic, and it's clearly, you know, it runs thick on both sides of my family and both sides of your bloodline too. So, you know, and this, like, I also never knew what it really meant to be an alcoholic. I didn't know that it's all it is. It's that one thing, and it's written in the big book. If you can't control the amount you want to drink, once you start drinking, you're an alcoholic. And that's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. And if you know that and continue to drink, like, that's on you. You know what I mean? But now, I couldn't, like, once, as soon as I heard that, I read that in my book, and I wanted to take the damn book and throw it across the room because that was
true.
my problem. Like, I had been asking myself that for decades. Like, why can't I just drink like everybody else? You know what I mean? And like, we have our I guess our ideas about what an alcoholic is. You know what I mean? Like, we certainly, like Tim, I know, you know, or all of we certainly see them at work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't have to be homeless. You don't have to be drinking out of a bag. You don't have to have lost everything. You don't have to be divorced, no car. Like, you can have everything still put together, and you can be an alcoholic. You're just not a hopeless one yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, so if it was just that simple, and if I had known, not saying things would have been differently, but I wouldn't have been able to, at the very least, I would no longer have been able to lie to myself or claim ignorance. Like, I don't really know what it means. Like, and that's like, I have a friend who I grew up with who's going through it. You know what I mean? And I'll never turn my back on him, but I make sure he knows, like, this is why you are the way you are. This is why all this stuff keeps happening. And it's because, like, I'm not going to diagnose you for you,
Right.
but he tells me once I start drinking, I lose all control over the amount I drink after that. And I was like, dude, you're an alcoholic. And that's it.
Here's
And I
the-
said, but like, that's a good, like, that it's not a good thing, but the knowledge of such
Yeah.
is a good
Knowledge
thing.
is
'Cause
power,
now,
yeah.
like, if you don't know what the problem is, you can't fix it. You know, you can't do
Yep.
anything about it. Now you know what this problem is. And not that AA is a monopoly on sobriety, but there are many solutions to that issue. But the One I found that works for me is AA and staying totally abstinent from booze. Just no, it's not going anywhere near it.
And I've talked about it before.
And
I needed that foundation of rehab. I
Yep.
needed it.
Yep.
I couldn't walk into a room of AA and carry on until I got that foundation, and then all of a sudden it started making sense to me. And
Yep.
like, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, I kind of, I don't know, I kind of wish I did go to rehab for the experience, and two, the foundation, the networking, the education. Like sometimes I still maybe I'll take 90 days and just go because it sounds kind of nice. But it's not rehab, not a requirement. You know what I mean? But relapse is also not a requirement.
Right.
Like I see so many people come in and they just continue to in and out for years, just going out and getting their asses kicked over and over and over and over again. And like my heart breaks for them, but also, thank God it's not me. Thank God I'm not drinking today.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a good point to kind of start wrapping things up. Is there anything that you didn't feel like you got to or wanted to say? Any burning desires, I guess, before we.
No. You asked about like my outlook, and I think I didn't really answer your question. Like the outlook from moving forward from this point to today is, I see my future as being bright. I see my future as just being whatever I want it to be, and that's just because like I say yes to opportunities today, whereas before I was always afraid to say no, like afraid of what would happen, and my kids have a really good shot at a normal life because they have two reasonably normal parents at home, sober parents at home, present and accountable and guiding them the way I had guidance because my parents were sober and present and accountable. You know what I mean? I have a job that I love. I work with, with people that I enjoy being around, in a community that I really like serving. I'm really active in my volunteer company at home, and I'm just enjoying life. Being, just being able to handle what life throws at me. You know what I mean? Life's kind of got some some curveballs coming at me at the moment, but that's like who doesn't have that kind of thing? And like if I was drinking, like I would just be drinking and not handling the curveballs. I would just be striking out over and over and over
Yeah.
again. And now, like at least I'm standing in the box and I got the bat on my shoulder and I'm ready to swing. And who knows? So what's coming down the road, I don't know, but I know I'm going to be able to face it and handle it. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever, man. So
Excellent.
And my last question: if you had one little piece of advice for someone struggling, whether it's with addiction, mental health issues, what would you say?
What do you have to lose by, trying something different? Because I tried the same things to fix my life over and over and over again, and it never worked, and I was too scared, and I never like even thought of trying something different. You know what I mean? Like, so like just, if take that step, take the step in the scary direction. You know what I
Trust the
mean? That one,
process.
like
Radical acceptance.
that one thing you really don't want to try to do because for whatever reason, you know what I mean? I did not want to go to AA, and I didn't really have a good reason why, other than I think now looking back, I was afraid it was going to work. I was afraid it was going to work,
There's
and
so
fucking A, it
many.
did. You know what I mean? And like looking in hindsight, being 2020 is the best decision I ever made. So take the step in the scary direction. Take the step into the unknown. If it works, if it doesn't work, okay, cool. You tried. Plan B. Call the audible. And if it works, like
Welcome.
yeah, come on in. Come on, yeah. Thank. We need you. We need you.
Come on in. The water is fine. And with that being said, actually, I did want to throw it out there that if there is anybody listening, first responder or not, but for especially in attacking my department, if you're listening and you are struggling or you are thinking that something is off with your substance intake, we walk amongst you, and we are here to tell you the good word, and just reach out.
And that there's like, you're not alone, and there is a solution.
Yeah.
There is a solution. You know what I mean?
If you don't want to reach out per se, then we also have that meeting at the Union Hall.
Yep.
7 a.m. on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, 7 a.m.
And for people not local, because there's a lot of people not local, you can always shoot us an email, send us a message if you want to talk to somebody who will understand. We're always here for that.
Yeah, and you can, put my my Instagram tag in the comments if you want to. You know what I mean? Anybody out there, you just any questions, you want to talk, you're curious, because I was curious about this thing for a long time before I actually did it, and you never know. You never know who you're going to help. You never know who's going to reach out. So if you're out there struggling, like these guys said, just reach out. Reach out to me. Reach out to them. Reach out to anybody. You know what I mean? You are not alone, and there's definitely a better way, for sure.
Well, thanks a lot for coming on. Thanks for reaching out to come on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, thank you for having me on. This was awesome. I really enjoyed this today.
100%. Yeah, we need if you want to be a guest on the show, why don't you tell them how to get in touch with us?
If you'd like to be a guest on our show on the Bunkroom Chats podcast, you can shoot us an email at the Bunkroom. Is it
Bunkroom Chats.
Bunkroom Chats? Let's do this again. If you, what is it? 867
4869.
If you would like to get in touch with us, if you'd like to be a guest, you can send us an email at bunkroomchatspodcast@gmail.com. You can also shoot us a message on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. We are now everywhere.
Yeah, and we'll include Jeff's Instagram as well.
Sweet.
All right. Thanks again, Jeff.
Yeah, guys, thank you, man. This was awesome. This is exactly what I needed today, so I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Have a good day, everybody.
All right, man.
See you next
Peace.
time.
Later.